There's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
This is Bobby Lee Black. You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father. As always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome Bobby Lee Black. He is an actor, artist, writer, former wrestler, and now comedian. So we're going to be talking to him about all of his stuff, what's going on, and all that thing. So, Bobby, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
No problem whatsoever. So how you been doing, and what have you been up to during the quarantine and this pandemic that's going on?
Well, we wrote a full-length feature film, and we've started to produce it. That was one of the things we did during COVID. The other thing I did during the quarantine was annoy my wife to the point that she almost kicked me out. But other than that, not much.
Your wrestling career started the day you met Brian Adams, a.k.a. The Crush. You weighed in about 160 pounds. How did this career begin for you? What was it that made you say, yeah, I want to try this?
Well, I was a radio DJ back then, and Brian Adams came back to town there in Kona, Hawaii, where we were living, and he opened up a gym, and he decided he wanted me to do his radio commercials because I was a pretty well-known DJ. And with that deal came a lifetime membership to his gym. Well, I wasn't much for working out or anything like that, but my girlfriend at the time was. So we went in and we started working out. Brian started hitting on me and telling me, hey, man, you got the height, you got all them tattoos, you got the gift of gab. All you got to do is put on a little bit of weight and I could get you a job wrestling, And I fought it for a while, but then there was a show that came to town with some of his buddies. And I saw it and I was hooked, So I went about the business of putting on about 100 pounds and went to school down in Florida with Steve Kern, who used to be Doink the Clown. And he smartened me up and sent me out to go get hurt.
Now, speaking of Steve Kern down in Florida, I want to talk about that a little bit because Steve was also part of the tag team, the original Fabulous Ones.
That's right.
Plus,
Fabulous.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, for those who don't know, Stan Lane, Sweet Stan Lane, was also part of that, who became partners with Bobby Eaton, Jim Cornette's Midnight Express, which to me, oh my God, there's like so many great 80s wrestling tag teams out there, and the Midnight Express is one of them. But working with Steve in his wrestling school, man, for all these people who think, oh, it's easy, blah, 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 it's fake. No, it's not, folks. Let's talk about that a little bit. When you first started training and hitting those ropes, taking those bumps, what was you thinking about then?
Well, I broke 2 ribs and dislocated a couple of fingers and got banged up pretty good learning how to wrestle. I mean, sometimes I'd just go back to my hotel room and sit there on my bed and cry. I was just hammered, man. We would go into work at about 6 o'clock at night. We wouldn't get done till 10. And if you wanted to take a break from the ring, you went and got on an exercise bike.
Oh, jeez. No.
So, he worked us real hard and he worked us real good. He taught me everything I know about wrestling, and his ring psychology is some of the best out there, as far as how to portray a match in the ring properly. I mean, usually if people know you got smartened up by Steve, they'll just let you lead the match,
And that's good to be working with somebody like that, because you want somebody that's going to train you to do it the right way, because I've seen some out there who don't know what the hell they're doing at all.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of folks out there that are working right now that are dangerous, because they don't know what they're doing, and you can hurt somebody pretty bad if you're not paying attention to doing things the right way,
And I've always said this with wrestling. I love wrestling. It's a story in the ring. It's like choreography. It has to be smooth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and the thing is people think that we rehearse these matches and whatnot, and every once in a while you get a chance to do the same match more than once, but on the most part, you're just kind of making it up as you go along, and you have to be really on point and prepared to do the right stuff so that things don't get tangled up and nobody gets hurt real bad,
I also like this about Steve that I did not know, but his last stint in wrestling, he portrayed Doink the Clown doppelganger at the first outdoor WrestleMania at Caesar's Palace. And he was talking about being under the ring for 5 hours.
5 hours he was under that hot ring outside just waiting.
Yeah. Oh, my God. And I didn't know that. He said they made him a little, like a little room under the ring where he could watch what's going on. But he said the thing that got him the most was when Yokozuna came out and did his match. And he's like
bouncing around up there, making that ring move. Yeah.
He said by the time he got out under the ring, he was about deaf.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, that ring, it looks like it's got a lot of give in it. But what that really is 2x12 planks over a diesel truck spring, And so if you don't have 600 pounds in the middle of that ring bouncing around, you're probably not going to make it move much, So it takes two big, strong men to be able to make that ring bounce. That's for sure.
Now, you landed your first job as a wrestler, and you had to interfere in Brian Adams' match versus kickboxer named Dan Magnus. Eventually, right. I want to talk about that a little bit, man. Coming into that match, what was your thoughts on it? How was this going to go down?
I was fooling around way outside my league, Brian is a seasoned wrestler, and he's big as a house. I mean, I was a pretty big boy back then, too, and then he was being managed by Eric Bischoff at the time. And so I was in there with Eric and with Brian, and I really felt like the new kid on the block, I ran in and I gave Brian a kick in the chest, and he did not move an inch. And then he went ahead and tossed me up a little bit, tossed me out of the ring, and left me laying there broken on the floor, But him and Dan went their rounds, and he ended up whooping Dan too, but that's how it goes.
Now, eventually, Dan and yourself were business partners in the CWO wrestling organization, which ran 2,000 some shows and brought in Roddy Piper.
We brought in Roddy Piper, Medusa, Sonny Ono, Jimmy Hart, Sugar Shane Helms, Horace Hogan. I even knocked the dust off of Jake the Snake one time,
Also, Dan and yourself started Slam City Wrestling School as well. Let's talk about that a little bit, the organization, plus going from that to running your own school of wrestling.
Yeah, that was the brainchild more of Dan than it was of me. He suggested that we open up a school since I had some connections with some of the leagues to be able to get people work. But then about halfway into our school, about a year in, Vince McMahon bought everything, and I lost all my contacts because I don't have any action with Vince. I mean, not too many people do. And so what we did is we started putting on our own shows, and I started calling up some of my buddies and getting them to come down for us. And we put on some good shows. We had 2,000-3,000 people at the stock show complex up here a couple of times when we were doing some shows. And it's probably still some of the biggest independent shows that's ever been out there.
Do you have a most memorable match or show possibly that you can recall?
I do. I got one where I was working with this kid, Derek, that was one of my students. And we went out, we both took a powder out into the crowd, and then we started fighting through the crowd, picking up chairs, hitting each other with the chairs that people were sitting on. And it was awesome, because he and I were real close. I trained him from the ground up, so I knew that I could trust him to go a little stiff on me since we were close to the crowd. And we had a great match. It was one of my favorite matches for sure.
That's the awesome part, man, when you can actually get the crowd involved and do that and watch their reaction and get them going. You sold the place, man. You've done what you're supposed to do.
Well, what we used to do to keep the crowd in line is every once in a while I'd take one of my students and I'd put him along the rails there. And when I would come out, I'd have him spit on me, and then I'd just beat the hell out of him, get arrested, and have the medics drag him away. So that way people didn't get too wild with our wrestlers,
So basically, man, you go from wrestling into acting. I know a lot of wrestlers do that at some point, but what led you into going the acting route? Did you get injured or something that just made you say, well, I'm going to do this, something different?
Well, what made me go into teaching as opposed to wrestling is I got a pretty severe head injury that if I get another one, it might be permanently debilitating. So the wrestling organization ran me off, and I went and opened up my own thing. So, yeah, I did get hurt. But what got me into acting was somebody came and told me, hey, they need a wrestler for a TV commercial, And I thought, well, I could do that, So I went down there, and I didn't have no headshot or resume or anything to offer. And all these guys were all actors, and they all knew each other. And I felt like the new kid in school for sure. But I hung around, and they liked what I did, and they hired me. And it was for, at that time, an unknown show called Trading Spaces. And so it was a national commercial promoting that show. And then from there, I did a couple more commercials, and I did a couple of short films. And then I got an opportunity through one of my lawyers to do a stint in The Punisher with John Travolta. So that was my big screen debut, was The Punisher with John Travolta.
Did that open up any more doors, specifically for you? Did people take notice and say, hey, man, let's get this guy for this role as well?
No, I had a pretty small role I had a big role in the story, but a small role in the film. I'm the one that killed John Travolta's son and started the whole war between him and the Punisher. But I got shot directly thereafter by the feds. So I didn't spend much time on screen, and I can't say it opened up any doors. I know it kind of turned me into a little bit of a butthole for a little while because I thought I was a lot cooler than I was because I've been in a movie with John Travolta. But I got over that pretty quick, and I've been doing movies ever since. And I got one coming out on August 11th called Rook. It's a heist movie, and it's a really good film, and it'll be out on the 11th.
Let's talk about that a little bit for folks who's interested in this, because you can go to www.therookfilm.com.
That's a heist movie, and it's really well done, really well put together. There's some very talented actors. And it's kind of a dark comedy, It's got kind of a lock, stock, and two smoking barrels kind of a feel to it,
And you're producing one called The Shop, is that correct? That's coming out or getting ready to come out, maybe?
Yeah, I'm producing my first movie. I have a production company called Chamber Piece Films, me and my partner Idolo. And we're shooting our first feature film. It's called The Shop. It's a tattoo shop comedy. It has all to do with all the hijinks and shenanigans that go on at a tattoo shop. There's some heart in it. There's some drama. There's some tragedy. There's some love interest. There's everything you need to get a movie across is all there. Not to mention all the ridiculous humor and shenanigans that take place with the tattoo artists.
Do you find it a little bit more difficult and challenging being a producer now, working on your own film?
It's one of the three worst things I've ever done for a living. This will be my one movie that I produced. That's all she wrote. I got another assistant producer on board that's got his own production company, and he's going to be taking over the producing for me here pretty quick once I start acting in this thing.
Folks, you can get out and check that out at www.theshopfilm.com.
And there's lots of opportunities for people to get involved in the movie business with this particular one here. We're looking for a couple more small investors to come on board as producers, and we've got a couple of small roles that we can offer people that want to come on as producers. So it's going to be a good film. I got a feeling it's got legs on it because it's got a built-in audience. We've got the tattoo industry, the tattoo culture, and all the people that used to watch Miami Ink and them shows, you know. So we've got a pretty good built-in audience.
Now, you've been a tattoo artist since the age of 16. What was the draw of that to become a tattoo artist, man? Was it just something that you loved?
Well, just like everything else that's ever happened in my life that was worth a darn, it happened by accident. You know, I was drawing on my pants in the living room, and my Uncle Eddie come walking through the living room and saw me drawing on my pants and hit me in the head and told me to stop doing that. and then he told me that he could show me how to turn that into a way to make a living. So he taught me how to tattoo. And I've spent a lot of years over the last 36 years trying to not be a tattoo artist. I've been trying to be a wrestler and an actor and a writer and a radio DJ and all this other stuff. But the truth of the matter is I'm a tattooer that does a lot of other stuff. You know, that's the real thing. I mean, tattooing has got me through 5 marriages and 4 kids and made sure that everybody got fed. So I think tattooing is what I do.
Do you have a memorable piece that you've done that sticks with you to this day?
You know, there's so many of them, but I got one that made me feel really funny for about a year. I had this fella come in and get a bikini bottom done of all little birds and butterflies and vines and berries and flowers and whatnot. And it took about a year to get it done. Was doing it about $100 at a time. And with no better way to put it, there's nothing that we didn't tattoo in that area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you're also doing some stand-up comedy. Let's talk about that a little bit. Is that correct?
That got kind of kiboshed by the COVID. I got a couple of shows written, and I was ready to get up there and start doing stand-up, and this thing hit, and they closed down all the clubs. So I'm kind of holding off on that right now until the clubs open back up. But the comedy I'm doing now is just comedy in the movie.
Did you have a go-to album or song when you were younger that just, allowed you to escape, to get away from everything? Did you have that possibly? I mean, I know you had a lot of music probably growing up, but was there one specific album or song that did that for you?
Dancing in the Moonlight by King Harvest, man. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life. If I put that particular tune on, I get mellowed out real groovy. But when I want to get wound up, I've recently discovered this band, MF Ruckus, that is going to be doing the soundtrack on our movie. And I tell you what, man, I listen to a lot of their stuff when I want to get wound up, like if I'm going over to the gym or I got to go out and work in the house or something, I'll listen to some of that.
Bobby, how can folks stay in touch with you? Check out everything that you're doing, tickets, tour dates, all this stuff, man. How can they do all this? And the movies that you're getting ready to come out with, how can they do this, good sir?
Well, the easiest way to get in contact with me is to just Google me up, Bobby Lee Black. I mean, I've got a website out there, BobbyLeeBlack.com. I've got, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that business. I'm on IMDb as well. I'm pretty much everywhere.
And before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Absolutely. This is Bobby Lee Black. You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Hour podcast. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, YouTube link, and yes, folks, all the links that we are associated with, and we are all over the platform just about. Also, please get out and check out Bobby Lee Black's movies coming out, his artist stuff he's got. He's done some paintings. He's done some tattooing, things like that. Please check this guy out. You will not be disappointed. So, Bobby, I wish you nothing but the best of luck, my man.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for having me on.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.